It's fine. I think we're just live now, so I can see
Yeah,
it coming up on the screen. So yeah, morning. How's everyone doing? Big smiles. Precious is smiling, so he's in a good mood.
It's time of night.
Not that you're not always in a good mood, but no. Listen, welcome everyone listening. We're another session with Mindful Men's Club. We've just come out of our session in the private Zoom, and the topic of today was reflections and realizations. So for those of you who don't know, every fourth session we have a reflections and realization session, and it's just to kind of take pause, reflect, and see if there's any key takeaways from the previous three sessions, or just in general, how's it going. So it's like a checkpoint basically, and like always, we never know where the conversation is going to go in these sessions, and it's fair to say there was conversations about homophobia, there was conversations about being out of generational sync. There was mainly me and not being aware of what grime music is, but there you go, I put it out there. And then, you know, I'm a regular. And then there was conversations about, I guess, relationships. And then we had some amazing news, our first ever Mindful Men's Club marriage announcement. So a boy, Yuvi, in Malaysia, who joins us all the way to Malaysia. Massive congratulations to you. And yeah, that was some amazing news. So lots of diverse topics, right, guys? And apologies if I've missed any out. I've not gone through the chat window yet, which I've still got on the Zoom. But yeah, it was a really blessed one. And I think, I guess just to kick things off, really, and one of the reflections that I had was I lost, I stupidly, or maybe it was meant to be, I dropped my phone. All right, and I'm sure I'm not going to be the first person on the planet to do this, or the last person, and my screen cracked, and it was a very expensive lesson, and yeah, it was £250 to replace the screen, and I'm thinking, so I was I didn't have a phone for like a week. Yeah, it was like a week, which sounds like an eternity when you're connected, right, digitally to, you know, everything, like what we're doing with social media. And I had people coming up to me in a cab saying, "How are you coping?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" Right, because I'm just here for my black coffee, right? And they said, "How are you coping?" And she was referring to the outage of Facebook and WhatsApp, and I'm like, "I don't know what you want about, because I don't have a phone." So I just smiled, right? I'm coping quite well, and that
you had like a proper outage.
Exactly, a proper outage, yeah. And then the reason why I'm sharing this is that in the build-up and the decision-making process of, do I get a second-hand phone? Do I replace the screen? What do I do? I'm just aware that my mom's not able to contact me, or my brother or my wife obviously gave key people my work number, etc. And then I had a most beautiful experience, and it's the only time I've ever missed a voluntary day on the Sunday temple, and everyone knows that I never miss my volunteering days on a Sunday. And it was at the height of, I don't want to give it too much attention because I think I want to talk about the petrol prices, but it was a height of where everyone was running around like headless chickens, and in genuine, some people didn't have petrol, and some people were just panic buying, basically, right? I'm just going to say that. And then Nita, my wife's like, "Oh, you know, you sure you want to risk it today? Because, you know, it's like you've only got like 18 or whatever it was, 19 miles in a tank, and it's the car that kind of drinks, basically, like a Honda CRV. So I didn't want to get stranded. So I thought that didn't sit right with me. And I didn't feel like I was being productive, because when you're doing regular volunteering, you kind of feel out of sync. But the reason I'm sharing this is that I didn't realize, I was oblivious to this, that one of my friends was knocking on my door at 8:30 in the morning, picking me up. I've got no idea if he messaged me or not. Clearly he must have, but I was unaware because I didn't have a phone, because I didn't have the phone repaired. And then I didn't open the door. And then he sent his wife to knock on my door sort of 2-3 hours later. And I'm like, and she's like, apparently Riraj, you were the ones that I didn't realize until today that she DM'd you, and she contacted like everyone who knows Manoj, who knows her, whether it's online, offline, just out of worry, out of concern. And then we had a beautiful conversation, and it just hit me. It's like, isn't it quite blessed, the fact that you have people who care that much, that she was literally about to call the police? So I just wanted to share that. That was a huge reflection on my part. So it was the best thing that ever happened to me, that I dropped my phone, and then allowing me to disconnect digitally from social media. I'm normally quite good with my time on social media anyway, but it was a complete detox, to be fair, and it felt quite good. Apart from the sort of slight mild anxiety about, worry about who's trying to contact me, if they're generally trying to reach out to me and I'm let them down, or if something's happened, when somebody can't reach you on the phone. But it was just an amazing feeling to know that, wow, that's so humbling and so thoughtful of you, that you walked it all the way from your house to my house, checked it with all my friends circle that you were aware of, and then you were about to call the police out of worry because you thought something happened to me. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. And I think sometimes when you take a step back and you're disconnected, and the silver lining there was that it's the best £250 I ever spent, because to experience that feeling and that joy of concern and care, and having that beautiful conversation after, was a blessing. So I guess that's my reflection to share with you guys. But yeah, I'm not sure if you guys had any you want to share, or any thoughts. I think you're on mute, Viraj, if you're talking. Is he? No, okay.
Just required for a Lego intervention.
All right, that's okay. That's okay. You got your little ones. You got your little one there. That's okay. But yeah, Prash, any reflections, any thoughts?
Recently, I've been sort of trusting the process, and I've been doing a lot of evaluation, and it's a case of people coming into your life at the right time. So I've made a good few new relationships lately, and it's something I've been thinking about a lot. Not necessarily I've been expecting these people to come into my life, but it's doing things that I enjoy, and through that finding connection, which has been quite uplifting. And it's come through people that I wouldn't necessarily connect with normally, but it's just been open, and that's been a lovely thing that I've been sort of experiencing lately. And yeah, it's been just a nice journey to sort of not have any expectations, to see where things go. Whereas normally I've been finding that you do the same thing, what socially is normal, it is sort of expected. You do these things that are expected of you, but not what you want to do. And I've sort of had a lot of freedom through that and enjoying that lately. It's just been quite refreshing, really uplifting.
Yeah, and I think it's in line with talk 2 weeks ago about speaking your truth, and then speaking your truth. We talked about, and a lot about speaking your truth is living your truth. And what you're describing is, life is beautiful, and the universe is very synchronous, right? When you're living your truth, and like you said, those beautiful relationships come forward, but not because you've changed your ways. You have that freedom of expression of doing what you love doing, right? And yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
It's amazing how many people are there to listen as well. If you create a platform, people are there like to sort of experience and sort of journey with you, whereas you might not necessarily think that, just going through the processes of things. But if we actually stay present, I've found, massive benefits through that lately. Even when we met at Manoj, just, the conversation, the levels of deepness that you go into with no sort of planning, so to speak. It's just, yeah, quite nice.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think you've said it quite nicely, right? It's often said, but very often lived. And what I mean by is that when you're actually experiencing life in its absolute beautiful, blissful glory by living in the present, everything just aligns, right? And then there is no expectations. And we all have expectations and judgments, but in that moment, you're just being you, right? And then I think that's what you're describing when those relationships came forward. So that's a beautiful thing. That's great. It's amazing.
I think what Peretz is saying is on point, is when you kind of step into your own truth, power, that's where it's almost like you become in sync with what's really going on around. Like we always say, the universe is actually flowing for us, but we're the blocks in our own way. But sometimes it's allowing something to just play out and removing any expectation for how it's going to go. I think that's where actually it all begins to open up. And I think at times we forget that actually things are fairly simple without adding too much to that. But it just, to me, it just kind of illustrates how when we just take control of a narrative, which kind of goes back to the call that we had, whatever the narrative is, where you're coming from, when you just take control and ownership of it, it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks or not, because the right people will show up for you.
Yeah, 100%. And And maybe we can touch on, obviously, where majority of the conversation went on the reflections and realizations, and it was around homophobia, and it's around, like, you know, guys growing up with that programming, if you like, of you know, it's not okay to be gay, and all that kind of stuff, and especially, you know, within the South Asian community. And we talked about generational gaps, right, in terms of like old school way of thinking and new school way of thinking. You know, I jest about the grime thing, and me and my kids, I'm like, what's grime? And he's like, what are you on about, Dad? I'm like, I've heard of carriage, but what's grime? I heard of reggae. That's my music. But no, jokes aside, it's like it's fascinating, and then we went quite deep, as we normally do, about, you know, right now it's pretty liberal as it's going to get, right, and changes all around us, in terms of LGBTQ and all that kind of stuff. And you know, it's okay to be you know, gay, and your sexuality shouldn't matter. And one of the guys commented on, what about the children growing up in that environment, etc.? Would that be considered good for them or bad for them or detrimental for them, etc.? And then we all kind of you know, had a healthy conversation around our different opinions, etc. And I think the majority felt that the intention behind the care and love of that child is the most important thing. So what I mean by that is, if that intention comes from a gay couple or non-gay couple, it's the intention and the care that the kid's going to resonate with, right? Because there's been many divorces, there's been many traumas, sexual abuses, you know, mental abuse with children, traumatic growing up in what's considered a normal couple, which is a husband and wife, male and female relationship, bisexual relationship. But would that be the same formula? Is this formula right? But no, would that be the same environment and the same output, or would it be worse if it was a gay couple upbringing? And that was quite a very interesting subject, wasn't it? And I think we've all agreed that we're going to do a talk about that topic as well. But any thoughts and reflections on that, guys?
I mean, what was quite great about the conversation is that we all spoke openly without judgment, which really took the conversation to a next level. It's quite uplifting, especially from sort of an Indian background where it seems quite taboo, generally speaking. And to see we've got a different sort of diverse ages in the group, that I was interested to sort of see what people were saying. And yeah, it's just come back to the love that was given through a relationship rather than, you know, who the love's coming from, which was quite a nice sort of message.
And I think the point, just to add to that as well, Pritesh, is that the fact that this conversation was had, whereas before, and not to point fingers, but let's say in a more older generation, it was just a no, that you don't even have the conversation. The fact that you had a really, really healthy conversation of, well, actually, what is it that's really at play? What is the concern? But also acknowledging everyone just has a very valid opinion from what they know. But when it comes down to it, it's the intention is everything, irrespective of who it comes from. And if a child is growing up in a nurturing, supportive environment, that's the thing it needs, because this conversation doesn't exist for the child. It just wants to be taken care of and brought up in a safe environment, irrespective of who provides that.
The interesting thing that I took from the conversation was that we, as an older generation, put it like that, is that we put these boundaries on ourselves, where sort of the kids in the generation now, they're exposed to everything, and they're moving, they're malleable, they're getting inspiration from everywhere, where maybe the older generation have a limited mindset and view, and we're sort of sitting behind where the youth are sort of moving forward more. That was quite interesting, that element.
Yeah, it's like we've become the older generation that we were controlling.
Yeah, but,
and we're trying to keep pace as well, right? But
we think we're young still, don't we? We still think we are, you know, the young.
That's why we still listen to garage and not grime. But no, I mean, I think this is, as you talk about reflections and realizations, I think what this week reminded me of is that everything's always changing, no matter what, and standing still isn't really an option, because you just get left behind. And what I mean by that is that you can get stuck in a rut, whereas actually there's so much around us that it kind of goes back to the point where life is just meant to be opened up, right? And sometimes we can create these boundaries. I think boundaries are important, but sometimes we can box ourselves in without having the open-mindedness to kind of explore, whether that's a conversation or meeting a new type of person or having a new experience, or actually living life fully without worried about what other people may think or not. Whereas actually, what's coming back to what you were saying is what's our truth. You know, if we've got one shot at this, how do we want to live it?
I suppose as well, when you said that, if you stay still and you're not sort of open, you can easily become quite bitter, can't you? You sort of stay still, you're mad at the world, you're just seeing all these things change, and you're just stuck still. You think, oh, they should be moving around me. Where in actual fact, for us to benefit life to the optimum, we need to be that malleable. Like, yeah, interesting.
I don't like it's like simple analogies, like, you know, when you fill a glass up with water, right? Let's say it's mineral water, it's, you know, from a spring, for example, so it's natural, it's pure, and it's in its purest form. But then if it becomes too still over a certain amount of days, it forms bacteria, right? And it's unhealthy to drink. And the analogy I'm making is that change, whether we like it or not, is happening all around us. And if we're not flowing with it, we become the I guess the variable that's not contributing to that change, right? And I think with change is it's having an awareness, because the big thing we talked about is having generational gaps, meaning what our parents think is the norm is not what we think is the norm, and what I think is norm may not be what my kids think is the norm, right? So there may be some awareness that I need to be aware of, etc. And clearly there is an example that I gave. So I think it's happening. It's just having that awareness and knowing that change is there. And back to your point, Viraj, is that, Presh, about children being succumbed to that education and having an awareness and talking about, you know, they, and one of the guys mentioned it on the chat, is that they get educated now, right? Whereas nobody told us about what is it to be gay, right? And let's be honest with you, in school, there's no way that would come up in that conversation like that. It was considered frowned upon, for example, or not normal. So change is happening all around us in education, and it's up to us whether we accept it or not accept it. And we'll always have an opinion because everyone's human, but if it's not causing anyone any harm, and again, that's a very subjective word and based on personal opinion, and the intention and the love is there, then who cares? Like literally, like two people are happy, like seriously, like whether it's a black white marriage or Indian white marriage or whatever, or Hindu Muslim, it matters not, right? If two people love each other, male female, male female female, like, does it actually matter? Like who are we to say anything? Like, for example, like, do you see what I mean? We'll always have our opinions, and that's a generational opinion or upbringing opinion. But it's, I think awareness is, or the lack of awareness is, will create the separation, right? In the generational gaps. So I think having the awareness is the first step, right? You may not agree with it, which is okay because it's your opinion, but you need to absolutely be aware that it's happening, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I suppose it comes down to the pure intention and the communication. Once you've got these sort of things in line, then we can sort of communicate what our sort of opinions and thoughts are.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you shared some experiences, Viraj, as well, you know, about that subject as well. And I think we've all got people or situations are in that, situation and living that life, and it's like they're happy. Be happy for them.
Yeah,
simple.
be happy for them.
Just simple.
It's so simple. Yeah.
Surely it's harder to hold on and be angry than it's just let someone live their life their way.
Like we all, I mean, completely different topic. We all know that, like, where would you rather spend your energy and time in, right? In resentment and trying to actually change or elicit your opinion and trying to change someone's life just because you don't agree with their life? Or would you channel your time and energy in joy and just be content and happy for them? For me, it's a no-brainer, but like, because resentment is like holding on to poison, right? Every single day. Like, you got your own stuff to worry about, your own concerns. Surely you don't want to fuel that by trying to change someone else just because you don't agree with them. It has no bearing or impact on your personal life. Like, why hate on someone for the sake of hating on someone, if that makes sense? I mean, hate's a strong word, but you know what I mean.
I suppose it could come down to that feeling, like these actions generate a feeling, and obviously everyone's on a different path in life. If they're not maybe getting, nourishment or satisfaction in their own life, it generates a feeling of, right, you know, this actually makes me feel pain, or I'm not happy for them. So maybe that, you know, just the devil's advocate here, that's why.
100%, yeah. There could be insecurity triggers. There could be, you know, upbringing biases that have been programmed in their minds, and it may not be down to them, right? For example, it could be they could be a product of the environment, and because it's happened in their generation before them, they know nothing. To them, that is normal, if that makes sense, and everyone else is not normal. So there's loads of reasons, isn't there? There's so many different dimensions.
It goes back to that growth mindset, of his fixed mindset that we're discussing a few weeks back. It all sort of intertwines, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, but yeah, go on, Raj. You're gonna
No,
share
no,
something?
I'm just wondering whether to introduce this now or whether yeah, let's just do it now very briefly as we wrap up. So this kind of segues into another element of the conversation that we were having of, there's a comment in from Yuvraj in the chat about a non-white actor playing James Bond or the 007 role. And his point is that as long as the actor can give justice to the role, it should be fine. So
who's this? So what's this? And then in the Facebook chat
on Facebook, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Welcome.
yeah,
Welcome, Evie. And is this as in what, conceptual? So I'm out of sync, or just a debate happening, or topic, or what's the story?
Yeah, so just kind of touching on the last point we had on the Zoom call before we had to wrap up. But the question was of the conversation is going on about James Bond, who's going to be it, and why there's this kind of uproar of it being maybe a woman playing it or a black man playing
okay.
stuff. And Yuvraj's point is, if the actor can give justice to the role, it should be fine. Which is interesting, because it's been a really, really interesting debate, kind of seeing it online, and you know, people saying, oh, you can't. Yes, there's definitely an argument for diversity and inclusion, and yet there's this sort of iconic character that's written in a certain way, and just to change the dynamic of the character, whether it's the gender or the color, seems to be quite a hot topic right now. So yeah, just wonder what are your thoughts on that?
It's interesting because isn't it? I want to get this right. Is it, who wrote it? Is it Ian Fleming? Yeah. So obviously he did write it, and I'm a massive James Bond fan. I'm just going to put it out there, right? Massive James Bond fan. And then specifically for me, it's all about Sean Connery, right? If you ask me who my favorite actor is, it's all about Sean Connery, like hands down, right? Just the charisma he has online. But taking that away, I have my own bias of that, right? Because I'm just putting it out there. I love James Bond. I love Sean Connery. Obviously, Sean Connery's a male, right? So if you ask me like live right now, like what would I think if the new James Bond was black, white, Asian, whatever? I'm like, who cares? Because if the script was made in such a depth, and you know, the typical James Bond plot and the output, and you know, you have a really, really crazy villain and all that kind of stuff, and there's always a sponsored car in there, right? Whether it's a Ford or whatever, right? The car chase is a norm with James Bond. You're there to join the experience of the movie. Like, let's be really honest and raw. Like, are you going to sit back and right now and ask yourselves that, did you think that about Black Panther, or did you think about that about you know, any other movie that there were prominent characters where they could have been white and they were black, or prominent characters like I watched Black Widow, for example, literally just yesterday, female, right, lead character, right? Did I say, oh no, that should have been a male? Like, I don't know. In my brain, it doesn't come into the context, honestly. Like, I'm there to enjoy the experience of the movie. Like even though I've just put it out there saying I'm a massive, I just think there's bigger things in life to debate or worry about, other than, listen, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but to me that's light humor and banter, and that's the category that I will personally park that conversation in. But I'm happy to take any other questions or debates or whatever. But yeah, it's just light humor at the end there, right? The news you make, the news is up to you.
Yeah.
There's always something to talk about. You define your own news, right? You're your own media outlet, right? I mean, it's just, yeah, it just fascinates me.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're right. Part of it's like, why should this even be a conversation? But the fact that it is a conversation just kind of has you inquire, okay, what is the conversation about? And it's just, Bond is this way, and if he's not this way, he can't be Bond. So I get that to a certain extent, but then I also feel that actually, rather than trying to pigeonhole, say, let's just say for the sake of diversity inclusion, to say, okay, this person or this male, female, this background has to play this character next. Why not just write a better, equally stronger role?
Yeah.
Yeah, like let me put this slight Matrix angle on it, because everyone knows, well, you don't know officially, Matrix is my favorite movie of all time, right? The boys know that. Yeah. So imagine this thought. Imagine Ian Fleming, right? Imagine this for right now, yeah? Right. Just imagine the reality of, he wrote the character, it was female, and she was black. Would we be having this reverse debate now?
From the offset?
We would have just, from the offset. If that was the character, just playing devil's advocate.
No, that'd be then fine.
Any person who enjoyed the experience of the movie for what it is would have grown up with that bias. Is that it's okay for it to be James Bond to be female and black. Would we literally be having this conversation now? Who knows? I don't know.
No,
it would be accepted. So what does it matter? Like, if the movie is good, it's good.
I suppose the issue, or the room for discussion, is the fact that it's changed midterm, isn't it? So it's changed. So it's our expectations. And I suppose we're having a lot of discussions generally in the world about race, sex, religion, everything. It's changed halfway through. I think.
Now, don't get me wrong. I used to be a big movie fan, right, and watch a lot of movies. I can understand the topic of conversation. I really can, because it's an iconic character, as Viraj put it. So I can understand that there is a debate for it. As long as the debate is a healthy debate and it's not turning into any hatred or hate on gender or race, then it's okay. Have the debate all day long if that's what makes people happy.
The thing is, any debate now, even if it comes from a nice place, it always turns nasty, because people have input in it. So we always make it personal. If we take the the race out of it, there's always going to be something else, like people's intentions or views come into it. So yeah, that's just the way of the world, isn't it? That's never going to change, in my opinion.
There's a comment here from Nim. So actually, before I read the comment, have you both seen the film?
I haven't.
The latest one. Okay.
What the new one?
The latest one, yeah.
No. I'm super keen to. Don't know. No spoilers. Well, we're going to end the live.
Spoiler alert.
No spoilers. See, Nim's comment here, which I agree. I think the new movie has done a great job at writing strong female roles, and the characters could easily be launched into their own franchises.
See, that'd be great. That'd be a great. I'm not a fan of James. I don't follow James Bond films. So that'd be very positive, wouldn't it? A spin-off into different characters, different films. That's a great way to sort of transition.
Yeah,
I think.
And for having seen the film, and I'm a massive James Bond fan as well. I think Pierce Brosnan is my favorite Bond, but Sean Connery is up there. And I think Daniel Craig has done a great job at taking the character in a slightly different, more story, nuanced direction. So I mean, looking at that, I think it's fantastic that the franchise is kind of evolved in where you can have these now sort of spin-offs without having to forcefully replace the character to modernize the character to what these times are. So I think what it's done, and to Nim's point, is actually set it up now where actually it's opened up so much more into exploring that world and the whole world of the 007 without having to replace the 007. So without having to replace James Bond in order to carry it forward.
Do you know what I suggest? And this is a serious suggestion. Royal Rumble, all James Bonds.
Get them all in, right? Winner takes the
literally character. Over the top, right? Whoever wins. That's what I suggest.
I wasn't expecting to talk so much about a Bond movie, but there you go. But no, interesting topic. Interesting
not
topic.
Not stirred,
Shaken, not stirred. Exactly. All the one-liners are coming out now. But no, look, I think. See, life is funny. We could debate about so many things in life. Let's just really be honest and raw, right? But at the end of the day, it's all good. It's all, in my personal humble opinion, it's all banter. Where I don't agree with it is when banter turns into hatred. That's my personal divide, and I tend to choose to distance myself from those individuals and outlets, if you like. And as I mentioned, we're our own media outlet, right? Yeah. We're a receiver of information and we're a giver of information, right? If you receive information and process it with ignorance in mind and have a certain awareness, then you have an informed opinion, if that makes sense, to say and do whatever you want. And as long as your intention is good, it's great. Like, carry on debating it, right? Like, you know, you're probably paying someone's wages, right, for advertising revenue on social media, whatever it is, right?
I think when it comes down to it, it's entertainment, right?
It's just entertainment. Yeah.
Cool. It's not you know, it's entertainment at the end of the day. It's
Anyway, ask me again after I've watched it. I may or may not.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
going to be different. Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. Yeah.
Good one. So shout out to everyone who's obviously watching. I've got no idea. I think Viraj, you mentioned a couple of UV and names and all that. Thank you so much. I think we need to wrap up, but thanks for everyone watching. If there is any questions, fire away, Viraj, because I never check the Facebooks when we're doing any lives, but just let me know. But if you're watching it, if you catch us, you know, in the future, hashtag replay. If you've got any questions, ask us. If you want us to talk about any topics, doesn't matter if they're taboo or considered taboo, we will definitely talk about them. Whether you're male and female, let us know, because if you're a female, obviously you've got a male in your life that you might be suffering from mental health and might benefit from the private space that all of us have created. And it's not our space, it's your space, and it's a complete freedom of expression and thought, as the guys can vouch for. Don't take my word for it. Everyone who always shows up on our bi-weekly calls. And then we've got some interesting, I think we've got an internal catch-up meeting planned, and we've got new things planned, new topics planned, etc. So we've got some exciting things to announce, which we'll share with you guys. Probably not as exciting as one of our regulars, UV, getting married. So massive congratulations to UV again. That put a big smile on my face, and I know
Congratulations, man. And also, this was a marriage not within Mindful Men's, FYI. This was because when you said that, and I was like, oh, who's he married?
Yeah. No, it's just a guy who's a regular, you know, supporter of ours, and he dials in all the way from Malaysia, which is about 8-9 o'clock in the evening right now. I think it's 8 hours, is it? Yeah, something like that. Something like that. But no, massive shout out to everyone. And if you want us to talk about any topic, obviously just message us privately. If you don't want to sort of advertise it, because it might be too close to home, or if you're okay, just put it in the actual Facebook, you know, message us directly from that, or just put it in the chat, you know, on this live, etc. And then, yeah, have a super blessed weekend, and see you guys again in 2 weeks.
You too.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.